In the exercise that we just completed, we were modifying properties of various elements on the page. In this case, we were modifying the background property of the items in our list. I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to talk about how this is actually rendering in the code, and a really great resource to be able to see this, and a tool that you'll certainly want to use if you're going to pursue using jQuery in your projects, is the fireBug extension. So the fireBug extension is a particularly useful tool for examining the DOM in your browser, and you can also use it to monitor and edit CSS, HTML, and JavaScript and jQuery. It's kind of like a debugger's Swiss Army knife for the web. It's an amazing tool that you can use. Any developer should have it. It's available as a Firefox extension, or you can actually get it as a standalone JavaScript file that you can include in your projects if you develop using another browser. But it's really awesome and seamless to use it within Firefox. If you go to getfirebug.com, you can go ahead and download it, and if you download it from Firefox, you can just install it as an extension, and I'll show you how that works in just a second. If you're interested in getting the standalone JavaScript file, you can go ahead and find out information about that as well. And this website is going to go ahead and give you tells about what fireBug is and what you can do with it. So if you're not familiar with it, this is a good resource to go into, and it lets you know that all the things that you can actually do. I'm just going to jump back over to my jQuery page that we were just working on. I've already installed the fireBug extension. At the bottom right hand corner of my Firefox browser, I have a little icon that says fireBug, and if I click this, it's going to basically split my page, and it will show me HTML and CSS that is related to the page. So if we inspect our page, and I'm going to go ahead and use this little select tool right here, and I can actually click on various elements in my page and inspect them. So if I clicked on one of these list items that has the background color, we can actually see what's happening right here in our HTML. So if we look at the HTML, you can see that the list item right here has a inline style that's basically being applied to it. We didn't put this in here. Remember, our list items just said li1, li2, whatever. So you can see that right here we have an inline style. Style equals background color. It sets the background color to be this particular color, and it lets the text color know that it's red. And that's going to be true for any of the list items that have this CSS style that we have applied via our jQuery. So this is very important that you understand that the properties have been added into our page as inline styles. Inline styles are kind of like a big, ixnay in HTML and CSS as far as best practices are concerned. You don't want to use a bunch of inline styles. So even though you didn't physically type those in, your page is using the inline styles, which can add weight to your page and unwanted and unnecessary items in the actual HTML. We want to separate that content out. That's going to be best practice. So in order to keep your code clear and maintainable, it's going to make more sense for all styling information to be in the same place, like in a CSS file. So in the next upcoming exercise, we're going to tweak this page a little bit, and we're going to see how we can toggle the styles by attaching or removing class attributes to the HTML tags. But before we got in there, I just wanted to show you on the fly how these inline styles were being applied, because if we look in our HTML prior to bringing it into the browser, we wouldn't see these inline styles. And if you actually look at your code in other browsers, more than likely you're not going to see the inline styles. You would need some sort of developer tools to be able to see these, and I really recommend, if you're not already using fireBug, I recommend you check out fireBug, because it's an amazing resource, and it just is so, I use it every single day. In addition to basically seeing what's going on, you can actually edit your page. So real quickly here, if I wanted to change the color, I could go ahead and I could select red right here, and I could tell this that I wanted it to be green by just typing green. And if I go ahead and click return, you can see that my first element, the first list item, now the text is going to be green. The rest of the list items are not updating. They're still red because, of course, these are inline styles, so I'd have to actually click on each one and change the color. But what an amazing feature that you can not only go in and inspect what's going on in your HTML and CSS and JavaScript, but you can actually edit it. And this isn't actually changing my file, it's just editing it temporarily within the Firefox browser, but you can see what that little tweak will be. So on a side note, this is just a really great resource, even if you're just trying to figure out what's going on with your CSS, your HTML, because you can make edits to the page and see how they're going to render in the browser right away. And it's a great problem solver. I definitely encourage you to get fireBug if you don't have it. So remember, it's just getfirebug.com.